Hi everybody, welcome to this week's Garage series, and this week we are going to sunny Lincoln, and a warm welcome to Phyllis Harris. Hi Phil.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks
It's,
for joining us. And so tell me, what kind of questions do you have in Lincoln and Rolleston this week?
yeah, I've actually got lots of questions. I'm just a person that has a lot of questions. And so when we very first went into lockdown, the things that were sitting with me at that point were, what are the things that were going on beforehand that are maybe not necessarily going to continue on once we come out of lockdown? What are the things, what's the one thing, like what's the essential thing of who we are as a people of God that we want to take forward with us, don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater? And what are the new opportunities that maybe will arise on the other side of this? So those were the big overarching questions for me. And then I was doing a bit of reading and I came across these very good questions that sort of narrowed it down, because I was thinking in terms of discipleship, in terms of us as a church, in terms of mission, but then also the cultural things that go on around and about us. So thinking in terms of all of those things. And I read this list of questions, and I don't even know who they came from, so I can't accredit it because I didn't write that down. I just wrote down the questions. And the questions that I thought were really helpful, and I'll read them so I get them right, were, who are the vulnerable? Who are the vulnerable that we're looking out to take God's love to? What do they need? And who will we send? And I just thought that last one, who will we send? Because often we'll get a desire and we'll get a picture, but we don't actually nail it about how we're going to do it, and who has a passion for this, who could be the ones that could actually make a difference here. And then I picked up another book I was reading. It's called The Mother and Child Project, and it's just about helping mothers and children in the developing countries. And I was quite interested in the middle of that. They'd gone into a community because they'd said in there that a cultural issue needs a cultural answer. And I thought, what do they actually mean by that? And so they'd gone into communities because they were wanting to raise vaccination levels, wanting to increase good outcomes for mothers and for children. And they'd gone in and they tried just to bring in and say, you need to vaccinate your babies, but they didn't have a big uptake until they got the villagers involved and trained the villagers in the reasons why the vaccines were important, and trained the villagers in giving the vaccines. And then they got a much better uptake. And they asked the questions when they went into the villages, do you have sickness here? And what diseases do you see? And are you willing to help us combat it? And it was that last question, like, how are you willing to help us combat it? So how can we as a church look at our communities and see the things that are needed there, but how can we work with our communities as well, rather than thinking we always need to bring the wonderful answer to the community? So those are just some of the things that I've been sitting with. And I have a very wise spiritual director, and she always asks a very good question. She always asks, what's the season that you're in, and what is the work of that season? So I'm in the place now where I'm just sitting trying to put all of this together into something that we as a parish council, we as a church can work through, because for each one of those things, a season might be slightly different, and the work of each season is different. So those are the bigger questions that I've been sitting with at this point in time.
They're massive questions, aren't they?
Any one of them could take a long time.
Yeah. And the whole focus on our context of, of who are the vulnerable. What does it mean to be alongside rather than at? And the season in Lincoln might be different to the season in Hallswell. There'll be crossover and similarities, won't there? But it's really important to ask those for your context. So great questions. Thank you.
It's all right. You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Getting the answers will be that's the big bit.
So true.
Working out what they look like. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil.
It's okay. You take care.
You too.